When the woman's boyfriend came home, they live at the bottom of a hill. So the first thing they saw was this shed in front of their house burning from the ground up. When we drove up to his office this morning, this sign said open. After circling the parking lot in a marked news van, this sign was quickly turned to what is now closed. It is officially summer in Nashville, which means it is hot. The stack that you see of water, this is what the Nashville Rescue Mission has currently raised for the homeless here in Nashville. If you look closely, you'll see a young man in uniform. That same young man at just 23 years old flew a B-17 during World War II on D-Day. Now, Captain Jerry Neal, he's 98 years old and he's telling his story. Behind me, you'll see a major wreck that just happened. The jaws of life were brought out with one woman coming out of a truck that is overturned. House Republican lawmakers are calling for Speaker Cassida to resign, which will pose an issue for the upcoming caucus. In my hand is the court document showing that case. If I didn't know any better, the cowboy boots and the amount of cowboy hats that I've seen would have told me that it is time for the CMA Fest kickoff. Right now behind me, you see this huge crowd that's been gathering, some of them for 2 hours or more. From the Auburn Airport, I'm Karah Rhodes. Metro Police need your help. They say a man was killed here in North Nashville, and he may have been targeted. 31-year-old Aaron Washington was shot in an alley near 23rd Avenue. It's a hot one out there, and some families have been dealing with power outages. We'll get an update, plus the reason for this picture of an outage in Eastern Tennessee next. It started with a man walking near the west entrance of the Capitol, wearing flammable devices and fireworks strapped to his body, only to douse himself in gasoline, lighting himself on fire. Around 10:45 this morning. Incidents on our road. The Georgia Department of Transportation spokesperson was speaking outside the Capitol where the explosions began. We heard sirens. State troopers could be seen fleeing toward the commotion to find out what was going on. Witnesses recounting similar sounds of the explosion.
Suddenly we hear pop, 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 pop.
And then there were 5 or 6 individual pow, pow, pow.
Following the explosion, a cloud of smoke. Soon after, authorities closed off streets surrounding the Capitol. At 11:52, we saw members of the bomb squad suiting up, police dogs searching the Capitol grounds. And by noon, authorities focused in on the suspect's car to see if any explosives were left in the vehicle. At 12:28, we heard more pops of sound as the charge to get inside of the car. And within minutes, we saw a robot pull items out of the suspect's vehicle. At 1:12, a bomb squad member went in. I spoke with the head of the Georgia State Patrol commander at the scene, who spoke of the teamwork between the police, fire and rescue, and medical personnel throughout the day.
It is second nature in this town to get together and work things out.
He's been transported to Grady Hospital, where he's identified himself as an Air Force veteran. Reporting from the state capitol, Karah Rhodes, Channel 2 Action News. Today, a man faces a life in prison. His wife is dead, and her best friend is forced to relive what happened in this intersection while driving in her SUV.
Sometimes I almost start to call her, and I can't. It's horrible.
Danny Jo Carter says in September 2016, she was driving on Sunday night following a Saturday spent laughing with her longtime best friend, Diane McIver. They had spent the weekend together, Diane sitting next to her in the passenger seat with her husband, Tex McIver, sitting in the back seat.
When she said it, Tex, she shot me.
That's when Carter rushed Diane to the hospital, afterward finding herself sitting alone in a room at Atlanta Police Headquarters waiting to be interviewed by a detective.
She was by herself and I was by myself.
She got the text there from her husband saying Diane had passed away.
I was on the floor. I was hysterical and mad. I was angry and sad.
Carter told detectives McIver shot his wife through the back seat and at first believed his claim that it was an accident. But as the court hearing drew closer, so did the tension and Tex McIver's continual calls trying to get her to change the story.
I mean, he tried to get me to lie. He got charged with that.
Learning more over time, her initial opinion changed. By the time a jury convicted Tex of felony murder, she believed the verdict of guilty was accurate.
Oh, I think it was malice murder, really.
Following the loss of her best friend, a new pain has surfaced since being named alongside Tex McIver as co-defendants in a wrongful death lawsuit.
I thought that I could finally see a light at the end of the tunnel after the sentencing.
Her lawyer taken by surprise at the turn of the event.
And when I found out that they were suing her alongside Tex McIver, that was a difficult phone call to have.
It's horrible. I mean, to be named as a component of her murder.
Leading to her final thoughts about Tex.
He certainly doesn't need to be out. I think he needs to be in hell.
No one knows we live out here. We've only been out here 2 months.
Surrounded by trees, the long, twisting gravel road leading to Oriana Thaxton's house is not an easy find. On Thursday, Thaxton had left home on a quick run to the store. While out, her boyfriend called, saying he was heading back to the house and could see a lot of smoke.
And he's still saying it's super duper duper smoky. He don't really know what it is.
Until walking closer, realizing their shed must have been set on fire during the short window of time she was gone.
Within a 30-minute period. I left at 2:50, he got home at 2:30. So I mean, as soon as I left, they had to have come and done it.
After putting that fire out, he noticed smoke coming from their house.
He opens the door to the house, and then all I hear is him just start yelling. I start hearing stuff getting thrown around. I hear all the fire alarms going off, and at that point, I'm terrified.
Racing home, she saw for herself what had terrified her on the phone.
When I get here, there's smoke everywhere. I mean, the shed's burnt, the house, there's a pile of our trash moved from the kitchen into the middle of our living room floor, and it's just on fire. So he just scoops everything out and throws it out the door. He's throwing buckets of water, and then we called everyone, and here we are.
With no idea as to who might have tried to set their house on fire.
I have no enemies. He has no enemies.
Or why. A scary reality as a mom of 4 children under the age of 8.
Especially not to do something to our house while our kids sleep at night.
She said that while nothing was stolen from inside the house, the person who started the fire ripped out their thermostat and threw her kids' shoes in a pool.
We have expensive stuff in the house. It's all there, money, everything is there. They just came and started some fires and left.
Little things that add up to a lot.
Well, I mean, I don't want to stay here. I want to leave my little kids here in the house. So we probably won't stay here for about another week or so, but there's an ongoing investigation, so hopefully they find out what happened.
As arson investigators continue to seek answers, Thaxton's mother is offering a reward for any information leading to an arrest. Reporting in Gallatin, Karah, Rhodes, News 2. It's true that not all heroes wear a mask and cape. Sometimes they're right here, they like to tell jokes, and they're 5 years old. Meet Clay, the definition of pure joy, who his doctor describes as a tough kid battling Crohn's disease since he was 2 years old. The signs began at home when his mother found that Clay wasn't able to do basic early childhood tasks.
He wasn't able to run, really. He wasn't able to walk up the steps unassisted. So I knew something was wrong, but I was looking at the physical stuff.
Trying physical therapy without signs of improvement, Clay underwent blood testing. The results came back showing Clay was losing all of his blood and immediately was rushed to the hospital.
There was a bone marrow biopsy. They thought that it might be cancer. There were a lot of tests and nothing was coming back.
That's when his mom started doing research and kept seeing Clay's symptoms crossing paths with Crohn's disease.
The eye doctor at the time said, absolutely not. 2-year-olds don't get Crohn's disease. That's not it. So he reluctantly did a scope and found out that he had a moderate level of colitis, and he was just completely floored.
Trying all kinds of solutions.
We were up in the middle of the night with the IV, going to the potty 20 times a night, and I'm not exaggerating. It was nonstop.
Turning to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, they finally got answers and learned Crohn's disease in children is not unheard of.
Most people don't think of Crohn's disease as something that affects children, but in fact it does. Clay presented in that fashion, and you can imagine not being able to function, and so that's the age where most kids are potty training, going to preschool, and so those things become very challenging for him.
The family decided to try their last case scenario, infusions of the medical drug Remicade. And for Clay, it proved to be just right.
I wish it was me. I wish it was my pain. I wish this was me in this chair. And I tell him all the time, it's not fair. But we make the best of it. And as much as I hate this, it's helping. So,
better,
right, it gets better and better every year. Yes, that's right.
At coloring.
Exactly, at coloring.
While there's not a known cure for Crohn's disease yet, Clay is thriving, choosing to celebrate all of life's wins.
Recently graduated from preschool, so that probably is a huge win. And I remember at his first soccer practice, silently shedding a few tears on the sideline because it was the first time that he was involved in something like an organized sport where he wasn't a sick kid. He was just a regular kid on the field.
Clay, just a regular kid on the field, yet brave in every way, the best kind of superhero.
Look at me. You're my hero. Do you know that?
Hi.
Yes.
So the time here that Clay spends will be an intricate part of his life as he will spend every 4 weeks here receiving treatment. Reporting at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, Karah, Rhodes, News 2.